Welcome to another show, ladies and gentlemen. For the purposes of today's show, my pronouns are King, Your Majesty, and Your Highness, and you're welcome. Try not using them, and I'll be reporting you to the Stasi post haste. I'm being facetious, of course. Anyways, I have a great show for you today. Please remember to subscribe, like, of course, share the video, and drop me a comment if you feel like it. So I came upon this video, trans versus conservative women, and of course I had to speak about it. I had to see it for myself and give my honest and open reaction. I hope you enjoy. Please watch.
Step forward if you agree. The transgender movement is indoctrinating our youth.
We are seeing, especially on social media, on TikTok, you're seeing a lot of people in this community really just targeting children. And you're seeing drag shows, even in conservative states like Texas, and even just media, movies. Like, it seems like everything seems to be targeted at these kids. You have drag story hour for kids, and
Let me just cut off there real quick. There's a lot of it coming from Hollywood and from the film industry. It's true. I just watched over the weekend a series called The Recruit, a movie Bullet Train with Brad Pitt, and another movie called The Courier. Do you know what the recurring theme was in those three movies? Toxic femininity. These women who are like this size, this height, beating up on guys by like multiples, right? Not just one guy, and no, multiple guys. It's the same for this agenda as well. It's all over the place. It literally is. I don't want to go into another movie I happened to see, and it was too much. It was too much. I mean, full frontal on a trans woman. I was out. I didn't know what to do. It is out there. There is an agenda. Don't be fooled.
just really, I think, predatory in a way. And I'm not saying every trans person is doing this, but as a whole, there does seem to be a route that they're taking to get to the kids.
And when you hear Blues Clues playing in the next room, and then you hear the Gay Parade song, it's Blues Clues, you're not expecting to be talking to the children about that. It really makes you wonder, are they really coming for the children?
And I think we see in our population now the rate of young children who are identifying as transgender, non-binary is skyrocketing. And I think there's something to be said for people who are truly experiencing gender dysphoria, which we recognize exists, and those who are experiencing what is now going to be called, or in the future going to be called, this social contagion gender dysphoria, where they're being exposed to it on social media or in school, or mom and dad are having a conversation about it with children, and children are now starting to develop gender confusion.
Or even babies, right? People who are being born, they don't have to put the gender on the birth certificate, and they're saying you can choose.
When did that even become a thing? I mean, as far as I know, child is born, a doctor takes a look at the child, you can tell instantly, right? When my children were born, we were able to tell instantly what they were. But you're telling them they can be what they want? What is the percentage of children that are born intersexed? It's right on the screen in front of you. It is estimated that up to 1.7% of the population has an intersex trait, and that approximately 0.5% of people have clinically identifiable sexual or reproductive variations. Now, out of that 0.5%, what percent of that do you think are trans? And it is such a small population. Like, tell me why make such an issue out of it to try to make it mainstream, to tell children who are born perfectly fine, oh yeah, you can identify as whatever you want. They're children. Why can't we just let children be children?
choose whatever you want to be. Like, that's so dangerous. And even lying to them, saying like, oh, if we put you on hormone blockers at this age, it won't do anything to your puberty. It won't affect you long term. And it's just a straight up lie. And there's like an entire Reddit thread dedicated to people who've transitioned, talking about how much they hate their life now because they transitioned as a child and now they amputated off healthy body parts and are miserable.
All right. Can the disagree?
So just 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, I did a video 4 days ago, the end of America. We had this young woman, 18 years old. I think her name was Chloe, if I'm remembering correctly. She had a conversation with Tucker Carlson. 18 now, was put on hormones at 13, had her breast cut off at 15, was told she could become a man. 3 years later, now she's in regret, and her lawyer are taking legal action against these people who, at that age, such a young age, was like, yeah, you can do that. Is that okay?
A step forward.
The fact that the trans movement has got people shook has me so excited. The trans movement is not indoctrinating our youth. Our youth are understanding who they are at a younger age. And for
They always send the black one in with the rabid trans agenda. I've noticed that too. Whenever the agenda is super woke, it's always a black person doing it. Just like the press secretary for the White House, Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is, up there with nothing but mad lies. This one coming up there, let's see.
what I was hearing over here is a lot of what y'all were saying. I wonder would you say it to the parents? Because we need to really look at what the parents of trans youth really go through. Trans youth, instead of them enjoying their life, playing with their friends, they're up in legislation trying to fight for basic rights here. 1 in 5.
That's my liberal program. I just destroyed that argument, like I said, with a video I did 4 days ago. They're being told they can transition, and then a lot of them at the back end of it are having regret. What you're feeding people right now is a straw man argument. That, oh, they're going through all these rough times. No, they wouldn't be if people would stop pushing, transitioning on them and telling them that they have a problem, that they need to change. It's out there so much, people are being affected and saying, oh, well, you know, I like this guy, so maybe I'm actually a girl. What about letting kids be kids? When you get older, you get to be an adult, you make your own decisions.
Five transgender youth have tried to commit suicide. Why are we trying to police them?
But you're bringing it only to the parents. The question was indoctrination in general. Am I correct? And then,
But they are part of that conversation. Someone said something about drag shows coming to schools or whatnot. The kids enjoyed it. The parents just had a problem with it. But that's their issue. It's only someone dressed in drag reading a story.
Is
that could have
drag
been
not
anybody.
blackface?
If the parents have an issue with it, that's the parents' right. If you come to my kid's school as a transgender and I have a problem with it, that is my right to address that to the dean, the principal, the board of education, whoever, because I send my child there to be educated, not to learn about transgenderism. Why is it you people never come and say, okay, who wants to learn their taxes? Who wants to learn coding? Who wants to learn computer engineering? No, you want to teach them about being transgender or queer, or that's one agenda that has really nothing to do with living a fulfilling life and being a successful adult. I mean, Yeah, for the few kids that are struggling with those problems, there are avenues that they can take. There are people that they can speak to, professionals that can give them help and assistance, advise them properly. But they're still children at the end of the day. That is the main issue. They cannot make these informed. Why do you think they're not allowed to sign legal contracts? A basic, simple question. Why do you think you cannot enter into a contract with a child?
For women, I see it as a caricature of womanhood.
But inherently
As
sexual as well.
insulting.
I have to agree with you guys. I do not like the drag queen social hours. I personally, as a trans person, didn't ever go to a drag show until I was about 40. I'm not for the sexualization of kids. Why are we not letting kids be kids and bringing sex into their lives so early?
I think it's predatory in general to talk about sex with children.
Yeah.
Regardless, straight sex, any kind of
I have a real
sex.
problem.
I agree.
Who's teaching sex to third grade children?
This
I
one-
really want to
Oh,
Have you looked at the California
Who's? Oh, you don't know? Or are you putting on an act? Really?
curriculum for sex education? You need to.
Yeah.
I know that
Do
when
your
I
homework.
was in preschool, I got my first crush on a boy because to me at the time, he was in kindergarten, he looked like Prince Eric from
Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Little Mermaid. I don't think like fucking him ever crossed my mind when I was 4, but obviously like it would have been good to know that like it's okay like if you have these feelings for someone of the same sex.
When we think of youth in general, they're having sex at a lot younger age, whether we like it or not. Let's just keep it 100%
You don't think it's
real.
because of that?
I do not think it's because of that. It starts at home with parents teaching their children, because one or two things is going to happen. Either you teach your children or the world is going to teach your kids. That's the reality of it.
They are.
Now, the previous one said she had feelings for a boy at 4, right? My daughter is 4. She don't like nobody but her family. That's it. She don't like the kids at school. She can't stand them. She's been in fights at school with girls and boys. All she knows is that she's a girl. She don't like this other girl. She don't like this other boy. They talk bad. They talk smack about her. So yeah, she gets into tussles with them. You think she want to know about sex and gender? She's not interested. So when you have an off case where this child at 4 is expressing those kinds of feelings already, what do we look at? The environment, the surroundings, and the people that is around that child. That's what we look at.
Are learning about it at younger ages from some adult or even their peers who learned about it from adults. That is in definition indoctrination. As a mother and seeing what my children are going to have to be introduced to at such a young age, like I didn't even know what a gay person was till I was like 12. And so they're gonna be having these really heavy adult conversations at a really young age just because of their exposure. And that is honestly just scary because I don't want to have those conversations. That's why I will be homeschooling my kids because I do believe it is my responsibility to protect them and shield them from the outside world, which is targeting children.
The trans community and the trans movement is really shaking the course of what people think gender identity is supposed to be.
So in one sentence, you're saying that you guys are not responsible for the indoctrination that's currently happening with
Absolutely
children.
not.
And in the second sentence, you are saying we are shook by the fact that you are responsible for it.
No, you are shook at the fact that the trans movement has become what it is.
And a movement that influences people all over the world, and particularly children. And we see it in the fact that the number of young people identifying as transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer is skyrocketing, which means that children are being exposed to these ideas. And it's certainly coming from institutions like the media, like Hollywood, like our public institutions and schools. So to say that that is not happening or to deny that that is the reality negates the numbers that we're seeing.
What I would say is that the idea that there is a single transgender movement and ideology is disingenuous, and that at its core, being transgender is about separating sex from sex roles and gender roles that are compulsory.
Do you think that children should be able to transition?
Now, before I let this one speak, that is this individual's opinion. The facts are different. What is being put out there in the media and portrayed on a large scale is completely opposite to what this person just stated. We can all see it all around us. The posts that you look at, like the lady stated previously about the, transgender story hour. There have been transgender shows where these people are like in bathing suits, walking on a stage in bars with grown-ups, walking with little kids. I'm talking about little, on stage with them and having people throw money at them. What do you call that exactly?
Medically?
No,
I think
no.
it just really depends on each individual situation.
I like the fact this person here, the question was asked, do you think it's okay for a child to transition medically? Immediately, no. Which is why you can't throw everybody under the bus when you speak on these issues. Because people at the end of the day are individuals. Whether the person is trans or not, isn't common sense. Like, as a child, no. Let kids be kids. That's the issue. Let children be children. They get to be adults, conservatives, you do what you want. That's it.
They should be able to make the best medical decision for them.
I am comfortable sharing bathrooms with the other side.
Oh boy, the bathroom issue.
Yes, I feel comfortable. Safe, that might be a different question, but comfortable, yes, I feel comfortable.
What I think the bathroom issue opens up is an issue of predatory men taking advantage of the opening. That now they could walk into a women's bathroom or a women's locker room, as we've seen happen in instances like here in Los Angeles at We Spa. And they go into a women's space, they expose themselves to the women, and then they say, well, I'm a trans woman and you've opened up this space for me.
But we cannot blame trans people for that. And
Nobody's blaming you.
That's the problem right here. Because again, when you walk into the bathroom, I'm not interested in knowing what you are, what you identify as. I'm trying to use the bathroom and leave out of there. What people have tried to say is that when trans women go in the bathrooms, they're being predatory, and that is not the case. That is something we do not blame on trans women. Although you were not saying that, when we talk about predatory behavior and when we talk about like the predatory cases, none of them have been trans women. So I just want to make sure. I know she's not strictly doing that.
Again, my liberal pearl clutch. Let me destroy this argument here quickly. There have been several cases. This is one of them, which is obviously the more atrocious. This person is in prison, gets housed, obviously in GP, with female prisoners. You can read it for yourself. So y'all not willing to bite down on that bullet? Y'all gonna disown this person now because they did this. It was all over, especially on social media. The news, not so much. Social media, yeah. A lot of people talking about it. Because a lot of people felt, listen, this guy still has his junk. I mean, put him in ISO or something, put him in isolation. No, it's put him in there with the women. 2 of them end up pregnant. This is just one of many cases. Do the research. You can find it. You're not going to hear it in the liberal media, but it's out there. Just look it up.
But because she said that, I think it's very important that I bring that out on the table and discuss that.
We have to have the conversation, and I'll open up the question. We know that if this legislation happens, if we move forward with this move, there are going to be men who take advantage of it. Now, I want to ask you, is your comfort as far as going to the bathroom more important than the female women that will be victimized by this?
Who said female women will be victimized by this?
They will, and they have.
No, you're only assuming, but the reality of it is, again, when people are going into the restroom, when people are only going into the restroom, they're only focused on doing one or two things, and that's using the restroom.
Yeah,
But you didn't answer the question. Is your comfort more important than the female people who could be victimized by this?
Okay, so let me help her answer the question. Which one do you think I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me in? It wasn't the women's restroom. The issue that you're bringing up, first of all, is already violating a whole bunch of laws. Okay, if somebody's exposing themselves in a bathroom, that's a whole different environment rather than just letting trans people in. In California, it's right now 100% legal for trans people to go use the bathroom of their choice. So I don't know what law you're talking about.
You're asking this question as if I would not stand up for cis women that were in the restroom, and that's not the case. Nice dodge there.
No
but
dodging.
the reality.
What the fuck is a cis woman anyway? What is that supposed to be? And is that the only word this person has in their vocabulary? Dodge? Like, come on. If you want to show like that, you're supposed to be able to speak better than that. But this whole cis thing, where the hell did that come from? What is that? So people have to use your pronouns, but you can just call people cis. Being disrespectful.
Reality of it is, one thing I'm noticing is we're reducing a lot of these particular conversations to genitalia. And it's not about genitalia, it's about safety.
Yeah, her concern is the possibility of predation, and that's still a probability. It doesn't matter if trans people are using the restroom or not. Sure. What you're concerned about is that you're possibly that people feel more emboldened to put on women's clothes and go in the bathroom, but they're still violating the law all over the place if that's the purpose that they're going in for.
Yeah, so I didn't step forward because, and I know in today's age this is going to sound very radical, and but I don't agree with the whole transgender ideology, and so for me it's encouraging something that is based in what I feel is delusion, and so I don't think that we should be encouraging that by allowing men into women's restrooms.
I think that if that's the case, that to some extent all gender is delusion. If we're looking at
Oh Lord, let me bust this down right now. Destroy this argument that this person is about to bring about. Listen, there are men and women. This person that's speaking right now, if they get in a relationship with either person next to them, what will come out of it? Absolutely nothing. If either of these people on the left side, either of these trans people had a relationship with either of the women on the other side, you know what would happen? Out of these two, you would get 3. Unless they've already chopped them off. Let's just be honest. Unless you have actually sterilized yourself or cut them off, one of these 3 conservative women is going to get pregnant. That's how gender works. Long and short of it.
Historically, anywhere from, midwives after the enclosure of the commons in the 1400s, having their whole trade affected, or Brewsters having their trade affected, and now we don't think of women as, Brewsters, or that creating beer is a womanly thing. These all came from social conditions. These all came, a lot of gender, regardless of biological sex. It didn't like.
As I said, being a man or woman is not a social construct. It's just what you are. It's what you are. You either have the ability to carry seed, such as myself, or you have the ability to carry a child. Now, in rare cases, yes, women's ovum, they get messed up, they can't give birth. Unfortunately, sad situation, but it does happen. But just like the intersex, it's usually a small percentage. That's why you keep on hearing people like the Klaus Schwabs and the Bill Gateses and, those kinds of vermin talking about, oh, the place is overpopulated. Why? Because a lot of people have children. Women. Along with men, obviously. So it's a small percentage that can't have. I mean, I've seen it in my time, so it is true. But essentially, and generally speaking, that's how it goes. How do you think these people got here? How do you think these three transgender people got here? You think they came out of a test tube? Or some woman carried them in their womb and had them?
Naturally flow out of our genitals, and like it was like, we're like, this is how my genitals are, so this is like how my gender is going to be. That didn't happen. That's not life. Like a lot of people who are either transgender or who are LGBT in general, all my friends were girls. At first I just remember there were a lot of things where like I would kind of like come up against people telling me that that's wrong, like that whether it's something I like, something I want to do. It wasn't until kindergarten that like someone told me that I'm a boy, and I was like, oh, I don't feel comfortable going to any bathroom in this world, like in the current society we live in. And to make trans women the whipping girls of that, I think that's disingenuous, but I do think that we need a systemic change to make ourselves safer. I don't really know anyone who doesn't feel a little bit uncomfortable going to the bathroom.
And trans people are not a delusion. Let's make it very clear. We're here. We've been here for ages. We've been here since the beginning of time. We're in your history books.
Really?
And I think it's very disingenuous to say that a whole identity is a delusion.
I believe that you feel like women. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is an objective truth, and I don't believe in his truth, her truth, their truth, my truth. Like, there is truth, and
Who defined that truth?
and like it's already defined. And I, as a Christian, I believe God is the one who set truth.
But who defined that?
Is the truth.
Can you tell me who defined that?
God.
Living in the Bible Belt with religion taking center stage, it's hard for a lot of trans and non-binary folks like myself to really be able to express who they are. I had to really take on my gender dysphoria in private. I couldn't talk to my mom about it. I couldn't talk to my dad, my siblings, because ultimately, I felt like it wasn't going to lead to anything because there wasn't a lot of education in the cis community like there is in the trans and non-binary community. We're talking about a book that was written.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now. If you want, you can check this interview out for yourself, obviously. But once you start going to the God debate, if you don't believe it, that's on you. People like myself, we don't really care what other people believe. Everybody, as an adult, you get to believe whatever you want. The main point is you get to make these decisions as an adult for yourself. It doesn't matter if you were raised in the Bible Belt. It doesn't matter if you were raised on the steps of the damn church. As an adult, you get to make your own decisions. You can become an atheist, agnostic, whatever. Doesn't matter. Not important. Not relevant. These decisions are left for adults. Again, why can a child not sign a contract, a legal contract? You sign a legal contract with a child, you're going away. You're going away. It is not legally binding. So what are we talking about here? Anyways, that's my time. this interview, this discussion, it's up on YouTube in its entirety. It's just over 40 minutes long, so you can watch it if you want to. But that's my take on it. I covered almost half of it. I think that's more than enough to get a gist of where the conversation is going, where people's heads are at. As you can see, the conservative women, they have their viewpoints, their concerns, and the trans people, they have different concerns, but not all of them align. You see what I'm saying? So you can't always throw everybody under the bus. Everybody's an individual, and they'll think differently. In different aspects, we'll think differently, but even some of the most general points that are being put out there, they don't all agree with them. Right? This person specifically spoke up on childhood surgery and the drag shows and said no. I didn't hear what this person said. I don't even know if they spoke up. This one was for both of them. This person was against both. So, difference right there. Anyways, I'll leave that there for now. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to subscribe, like the video, share it. I'm out.